What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Disco. Week 3 is over and done, and there's a lot of storylines, a lot of spectacular performances, and it's time to adjust and it's time to figure out your waiver wire. So, speaking of spectacular performances, we'll start with the obvious one, Mr. Devon He had 18 carries in week 3 against the Denver Broncos, which resulted in 203 rushing yards. He also had 2 rushing touchdowns, 4 receptions, 30 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. 42% of the snaps belonged to him, so he did split carries with and touches and opportunity in general with Raheem Mostert, and he got a whopping 52.05 fantasy points, which is absolutely ridiculous. I would temper expectations a little bit because week 4 he has a tough matchup against the 9th best run D in fantasy football. I do have him projected for 10.1 fantasy points against Buffalo in week 4. So I would say, he's a spectacular ad. He's a phenomenal ad, but you cannot chase the ghost of fantasy past and chase performances from the week previous and expect it to double and to amplify in weeks following. Yes, he had a spectacular week, but temper your expectations a little bit. Also, pay attention to the fact that after week 4, Jeff Wilson should also be off the pup, and Josh McDaniels is a big fan of him. I say that to say this: all of their floors are relatively the same, so it's hard to project who's going to have a spectacular performance and a breakout performance, but he's still a phenomenal ad. I wouldn't go crazy in terms of putting all my fab dollars on him, but if he is available and you have the opportunity to, bid on him in your fab dollars, by all means, go for it. All right, number 2, we got Jaden Reed. We've been talking about Jaden Reed since May. We love him. He was absolutely spectacular as a prospect coming out of the draft. The fact that the Green Bay Packers got him where they got him is absolutely phenomenal. Last week, he did have 2 drop touchdown opportunities. Should he have converted one or both of them, we'd be praising him the same way we were praising Devontae and his tremendous rookie performance last week. But last week, he also, mind you, this was against a New Orleans Saints defense that's been a no-fly zone, no run zone, nothing. They had a spectacular comeback. Jordan Love was great in the second half. Yes, Derek Carr did go down, but they produced against a very tough defense. So he did have 3 receptions. He had 63 receiving yards. He had 7 targets, which is very encouraging. And as I said, 2 drop touchdowns. Another thing that I'm very encouraged by is he ran 72% of the routes. And he was targeted on 17% of his routes, which is very high in terms of me being bullish on him moving forward. I will say week 4 versus Detroit, quick turnaround game, Thursday nighter. He's going against a tough secondary in Detroit, which is weird because Detroit's been notoriously awful, but they're the 12th best versus wide receivers in fantasy. Mind you, they haven't been against, spectacular wide receiver rooms yet. I will say I'm also kind of like fading him this week because Christian Watson, as of now, should play, which will dip into his routes run. And I'm projecting him for about 10.8 fantasy points as well. Staying on Green Bay, player number 3 must add in the waiver wire is Luke Musgrave. He's been improving more and more as the weeks go by. Last week was no exception. He had 6 receptions, 49 receiving yards, 7 targets, 1 missed TD opportunity. Should he have converted that TD opportunity, he would have been a league winner and a week winner. Here's another thing that I'm very bullish on is it's simply the opportunities. He ran 86% of the routes. He was targeted on 19% of his routes, which is huge. Should he convert, half of the opportunity into receptions, you're talking about a tight end 1, the same way you're talking about Sam Laporta. Week 4 versus Detroit, he actually has a very good matchup. It's a great opportunity. Detroit is the 3rd worst defense versus the tight end position, so it's a huge opportunity. His usage shouldn't be affected by the return of Christian Watson, and he's projected for 8.1 fantasy points, which is his floor in PPR format. Once again, I anticipate him to smash these numbers. He should be really good. All right, moving on to number 4, we got Quinn Johnson, honorable mention to Joshua Palmer. Quinn Johnson was drafted for this reason and this reason alone. Unfortunately, my man, Mike Williams, is out for the season with a torn MCL. So let's talk about Quinn Johnson as an opportunity, because there's not many stats that we can talk about simply because he hasn't really been in the opportunity. He was drafted in the first round as a Mike Williams prototype. He's a jump ball threat, strong hands. Justin Herbert loves his big wide receivers. Week 4 versus the Raiders, he has a great opportunity against the 10th worst defensive unit against the wide receiver position in fantasy. I'm projecting him for 10.8 fantasy points. Not only is he going to be a smash this week, but he's going to be a great smash for the rest of the season, because once again, not just Mike Williams had an asterisk tied to his name as being an injury-prone wide receiver, but also Keenan Allen. Now, Keenan Allen has been absolutely spectacular, but Quentin Johnson, Joshua Palmer, they're both must-haves, especially with Justin Herbert at quarterback. Let's go to number 5. And this one's a shocker to me, but the last 2 weeks don't lie. None other than Adam Thielen. Week 3 against the Seahawks, he had 11 receptions, 145 receiving yards, 14 targets, 1 receiving touchdown. He ran 92% of the routes, and he was targeted on 24% of his routes, which is huge opportunity. And I look for that to continue week 4, because they're going against the Minnesota defense, who is the second worst versus the wide receiver position. So another great opportunity. And it's a revenge game, because that was the team that he was playing on, and they didn't want to invest in him. I have him projected for 12.4 fantasy points. That's his floor. I also think DJ Chark is a must-add. Another honorable mention to DJ Chark. DJ Chark is an absolutely phenomenal player. He's got spike week freak written all over him. So should you not get an Adam Thielen or a Quentin Johnson or a Jaden Reed at the wide receiver position, and you're looking for somebody relatively free, I think DJ Chark is the viable wide receiver 2 in Carolina. Another honorable mention goes to Jordan Love, should he be available. He's a great QB2 opportunity. I also love CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's averaging over 300 passing yards per game at this point, and he's gone against formidable defenses against the pass, so he's another spectacular add. Last but not least, Nelson Aguilar, ladies and gentlemen. He's been the wide receiver 2 in Baltimore 2 out of 3 weeks. Rashad Bateman's in the doghouse. Odell Beckham Jr. is in the old folks' home. I'd highly recommend investing in Nelson Aguilar. He's getting volume in terms of opportunity, and he's got big play threats looking towards his way. So that's the video. That's our week 4 waiver wire additions. Quick, straight to the point. I hope you guys like the video. If you like the video, please click the like button. It really does help your boy, and it helps our channel grow. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. Once again, it's very helpful. And we'll see you guys on Friday for our week 4 strategy show with Patrick Pucci, Best Ball Jonesy, and my man, Jay Seek. Until next time, peace.